Live Kabbalah is a non-profit organization founded for the distribution of the wisdom of Kabbalah and its values. It serves to support the growing need for a spiritual movement and promotes the self-education of the wisdom of Kabbalah and therefore empowers the student to achieve his or her goals. Learning the original principles of this wisdom can reconnect us with the true values of our society, including the belief in the dignity and freedom of man, democracy, and the freedom of speech.
Hello everyone, and Shavua Tov, and we are now in the Parashat Pinḥas. As usual, Parashat Pinḥas coincides with the 3 weeks. So we're starting today, or yesterday basically, but we're starting the period of 3 weeks of judgments, Yemei Bein HaMetzarim, and it's always going together with Pinḥas, and Pinḥas is known as the most powerful parasha for healing in the Zohar, although there's nothing about healing in the Torah itself, but there is a lot. So we'll explain it. Now, the Zohar about healing, the most important issues or essays about healing in the Zohar itself, this is the Zohar about Pinḥas, the whole parasha. Okay? So, and most of it is about healing. So how do we connect Pinḥas, the 3 weeks, and healing together? And that's our goal today, to understand that. So we'll start with the story itself so we know the context, because it's very important. And we can read the story of Pinḥas, Parashat Pinḥas, on the book of Numbers, chapter 25, verse 10. Okay, and it says as follows, and God spoke to Moses, saying, וידבר השם אל משה לאמור, פנחס בן אלעזר בן אהרון הכהן השיב את חמתי. Pinḥas, the son of Elazar, the son of Aaron HaKohen, the Kohen, Heshiv et Chamati, brought back my wrath. That's what it says. Me'al bnei Israel, from upon the children of Israel. Bekano et kinati, when he was doing the zeal of my zealousy. And we'll go into it because that's also very important. Inside them, betocham. Velo kiliti et bnei Israel bekinati. And I did not destroy the children of Israel with my zeal. Now, a lot of codes, if you read it just the way, like the whole Parashat Pinḥas, just the way it's written, simple, as Rabbi Shimon is saying, kash v'teven, it's like you're eating straw without eating the grains themselves. So what's the story is about? In order just to get into the mode, the proper mode, there's an article that kind of sums it all, the whole parasha of Pinḥas. And this article you can find, if you have the Zohar, Parashat Pinḥas, in verse 386. And it says over there, there's a whole long essay about Rabbi Shimon and his students talking about health and healing. And then it says, while they were walking, and a lot of people say they were not walking, but walking means moving forward in the levels of spirituality. Ata nishra avriva, a big eagle came. Aschar al rishayu, made circles above their heads. Ve'kaim alau, and then it stood there. Amar Rabbi Pinḥas, vadai idan reuta uashta. This is a time of goodwill. Ba'ashata, this hour, this time, itpatchu tarei derachamei, the gates of mercy open up. Lechol inun beimarei, for whoever is on his deathbed. Ve'hu zimna la'asvata lon, and this is the time to heal them. V'alavav inun asirin lemalka, and although they are the prisoners of the king. What does it mean, the prisoners of the king? There's another place in the Zohar that speaks about it, that somebody who's sick is a prisoner of the king. What do you do when somebody is making some transgressions? You lock him in a prison. However, how does the Creator lock somebody in? Makes him sick. Now, like in prison, you can go wherever you want, you can go when you want. You're stuck in bed, you are his prisoner. Now, that's what it means, the prisoners of the king. So there's an issue. Comes the healer, the physician, he wants to heal the sick. Who gave you the permission? The king put him in jail. Who are you to break in and get him loose? Of course, we learn from the Zohar that the person has, of course, all the ways to get out, because more than the calf wants the milk, his mother cow wants to feed him. Who are we talking about as the mother cow? This is the Creator. He wants to feed us. The problem is, we don't let it in because of any kinds of blockages that we create. So, of course, if somebody helps the person to unleash themselves from, or release themselves from jail, of course God will be happy. But the only way is to release him properly. What do I mean properly? That will be the topic of today's talk, which is, what does it mean, real healing? What does really heal? I remember when I went to study medicine, Tel Aviv University, many years ago. And then we studied that there was a whole year when you learn all the medicines known. What a headache. You have to learn so much by heart. By the end of that year, our professor says, the last class, whatever I taught you, whatever we taught you, nothing really heals. All the medications we taught you about are only treating the symptoms. Neither of them really heals. I'll never forget that moment, like feeling, so you want me to be a liar? Do you want me to lie to my patients and tell them, oh, we can help you, we can heal you, when we're just putting plasters, we're just covering it up, and it's never healing? I didn't continue. I couldn't. Yeah. Then I realized that, when people study spirituality, then they really heal. You know what? I prefer that kind of medicine upon the fake medicine, the witch doctor medicine, which means you give all kinds of stuff that doesn't really do it. It just gives you an illusion like you're healed and you're covering up. And but people take medication, they feel better. They feel better on what way? That's what we have to discuss over here. So he's saying, but now what did we read over here? This is the key to understand the whole parasha of Pinḥas. And as it says over here, as they were walking came a great eagle. What's an eagle? So the Zohar says that when we're talking about the eagle, we know we spoke about it many times. We spoke about it in Parashat Chukat. We spoke about the red heifer. Why red heifer? So we said, chapter 1 in Ezekiel, they're talking about the chariot of God, Ezekiel's chariot of God. And it says over there, the face of a lion to the right, chesed, loving kindness, water, the element of water. Facing the left is the ox. And the left of the ox is the cow. And the left of the cow, that's a red cow. So that's why we use a red cow that never had a yoke as the precursor for the remedy against death. Because what creates death? Judgment. Pure judgment creates death. Okay? So the red heifer was the way to turn it around from pure judgment, which is death, into healing. They took these ashes and put it in spring water to heal the person, to create a remedy against death, which means awakening the judgment, but in a balanced way. What do? You take that and you put it together with spring water. So it's chesed together with judgment. What's facing the middle? An eagle. Mercy. What do you mean mercy? Mercy is the ability to synthesize the loving kindness together with the judgment and create a third force. And that third force is what's healing. So that's the symbol for that is the eagle. So here says Rabbi Shimon, when you see the eagle, when you connect finally to the central column, that's when healing takes place. And then even the ones who are on their death bed, they can recover because they were in deathbed because they touched judgment too much. That's what kills. Judgment kills. Okay? So, now how Parashat Pinḥas is connected to that. So, we'll explain. Previous parasha, Parashat Balak, the last verses of the parasha speak about that we have the story about Balak and Bilam, the witchcraft stuff, the warlocks, and they curse, they try to curse to death the camp of Israel. But what happens? The Israelites have no idea this is happening. They're so balanced, they're so united, everybody is so much together. The whole camp, that Balaam cannot not say, Matovu Olecha Yaakov. How great, how good are your dwellings, Jacob. Mishkenotecha, your home, Israel. So, what happened over there? They trying to cast spells on the camp of the Israelites, they can find themselves only blessings. Why? When somebody is in total balance, he is enlightened. And can you bring darkness into a place of light? Can you? No, you can't. You can take big jars, buckets of darkness and throw it into a room full of light. It's going to stay lit, right? Right? Because darkness is no power of itself. The power of darkness is the lack of light. Darkness has a life only from the lack of light or the blockage of light. So what does it mean? If we understand that, Balaam understood it too. He was wiser than we are. Okay? And he realized that, and in the end he says to Balak, you know, I think that what happened was because their energy of unity is so powerful and so strong. What happened is and we spoke about it last week, there's no judgment in the universe. The judgment has been turned off. And we said the world lives upon mercy, upon kindness, upon chesed, upon love. Olam chesed yibaneh. The sages say the world is standing and built upon chesed, loving kindness only. However, we know something. When people go after only loving kindness, this is dangerous. Why is it dangerous? It's going off balance. So when people go like free love, don't judge me, we just want love and just love each other, whatever, usually that ends terribly. Look at the Soviet Union, a whole empire based on chesed. You know, what was the major mitzvah? Love others as you love yourself. What was the result? I think they murdered more than the Nazis. I'm talking about the Communist Party of the Soviet Union. What about the Communist Party of China? Nobody even knows the numbers of how much they murdered, but we're talking about communism, which in the 20th century was responsible for the biggest genocides ever, more than even the Nazis. Now let's go to the other side, 60s. We go to the 60s. Make love, no war. People build communes of love, or especially in California or in New Jersey by the mountains. Okay, and what happened over there? I read some research, horrible. All of these communes became places of abuse and so much cruelty that people had towards each other, especially people taking the advantage of no checks and balances. Don't judge me, so I can do whatever I want. So I take the booty. Everybody loves, everybody says it's all ours. We have to get, somebody took it. Always. And when somebody was saying, yeah, but why do you have everything and we have nothing? You're judging. You're judging. Let's everybody, and there was a lot of cruelty over there. So one of the symbolism, this is one of the symbols of, in the Sefer Yetzirah, about chesed, about water, that water is connected to lust. Sex. When people are in this place of like free love, is that love? No, that's not love. This is about free game of kids playing with fire. They think they're playing with water. It's because it's water, but water, you can drown in water. What's the result? the result is usually a collapse. Look at all civilizations that developed free love. That was the symbols of its demise. Because the moment you have only chesed, only right column, that brings to depletion of energy and weakness. People drown in too much freedom. So you need to have a little bit of judgment to balance the love with limitation. You love somebody, let's say you truly love that somebody. But before you help him, you should ask him, do you really need my help? Maybe they don't like it. Maybe they don't like to think like I do and imposing myself on them. For me, it seems like love. But for the other person, it's excruciating pain that somebody forces. I know the truth. Yeah, we all know the truth for others. Loving others means putting some judgment on our tendency to love and allow somebody having the space to be a creator in his own space. And that means sometimes, let's say it's your child, your spouse, people you love, you need to let them have their own space to fall and get up. That's also judgment. Because that means that your unconditional love cannot penetrate everywhere anytime you want it. You have the same thing that the Creator himself, he loves us much more than we love each other. Much, much more than we love ourselves. Can you understand that he's watching us being miserable and he's holding himself not to force himself upon us? That's judgment, right? Because when you force somebody to be happy, the result will be a lot of pain. Because you cannot take somebody's freedom. That is totally against the rules of the creation. So that's why we realize that what Balaam says to Balak, there's no judgment. The Israelites cannot say no. Send your most beautiful girls, and they do. The princess says of Moab, Midian, the common people were not very, they didn't look nice. They were slaves. They worked in the fields. How did they look, the girls? So they sent the most beautiful girls they sent their own daughters, Balaks. All the kings of Midian, they sent their own daughters. They hated Israel so much, they're willing to sacrifice their daughters because of their hate. So they're sending their daughters in, and then there's a party. Nobody knows to say no. And there's a plague. 24,000 people die in that plague. Nobody knows what to do. Not Moses, not the high priest Eliezer, the son of Aaron, not anyone else. There were so many great wise people. Everybody is in shock, seeing that plague coming like a wave of darkness. One person alone saw it, Pinḥas. He saw what's going on, he understood what's happening, and he was the only one to figure out and to know what should be done and what can be done. And therefore, he's the only one who did it. And he did something that the sages are saying, never do it yourself, never do it at home. Okay, it will never happen again. But this person, he basically, what he did, he killed two people. One is Cosbi, the other one is Zimri. He called them while having relations. And that seems to be stop the plague. Manually, he reactivated the judgment that the world needed in order to stay balanced. So, how did he do that? He did something really powerful. So we'll read. Pinḥas ben Elazar ben Aaron HaKohen, he was the son of Elazar, the son of Aaron, which means he was a grandson of Aaron. He was the son of the high priest. Heshiv et chamati mal bnei Israel. He returned my wrath from upon the children of Israel. What do you mean chamati? But wrath, that's English. But the Torah was written in Hebrew. Chamati comes from the word chom. Chom is fever. When do people have fever? Fever, heat, is judgment, right? Fire. When is it? So, we know that, let's give an example. It was already found, I think, in the 70s, that they call it a type A American is susceptible to coronary disease. That's American, is number one, the alpha male. He knows it all. He always does the right thing. Nobody works like he does. Nobody cares like he cares. He's like judging everybody else. These guys, when you're 30 to 40, you start to develop coronary disease. Okay? Why? Because being so right, you get hot. You are hot. You are inflamed. And you know what? Then they found out later on, like the Zohar talks later on in this parasha, that the coronary disease is an inflammation in the arteries. It's an inflammation. Okay? And that inflammation is caused by the cholesterol that is secreted when you are really upset and hot and judgmental. Your liver secretes that cholesterol that settles in your arteries, and that creates inflammations. So, if you have an inflammatory nature, then you will develop those inflammations that is basically centered in the heart, but it can go other places, also in the liver, which is the two most susceptible places for that. And here it is. So, what do you have? How do you cool down the heat? You put water on it. Then they found out that not all type A Americans are susceptible to coronary disease. The other ones, they know how, they are the leaders, whatever, but they are very compassionate. They like people. They don't get crazy, angry about them. They know how to conquer their temper. They have patience. They do not get coronary disease. Why? Because they know how to pour some water over the heat. So here, and they say, not just they say healthy, they are much more successful. You know why? When you work with people who are compassionate, you have all the incentive in the world to support them, to work with them. But if somebody always there showing you what a zero you are, and what a fool you are, why would you like to give your guts to that person? He's the boss. He pays your salary. But you know what? This guy is mean. Why should I? You know what happens? Productivity goes down. So you say, everybody's stupid, they don't know what... Maybe they know they don't want to. For the salary you give them, they don't want to. And you know what? Even if you give them a higher salary, they don't like you because you're not nice. Okay? And it's all coming back to, you want to be a winner, you need to learn the art of the eagle. Who's the eagle? The one who knows, says the Zohar, to balance between love and kindness and non-judgmental. What do you want to say? Non-judgmental. Let them do whatever they want. They know what they want. If you don't give people time limits, you don't put the boundaries, okay, you don't set the quotas and the goals, and you tell everybody we have to do it together, that's judgment. No, we should do it on our pace. Too much chesed, you go bankrupt. Okay? Everybody will be fired. Why? You can't pay the salaries anymore. Don't make money. But being judgmental all the time, that's also bad. So the lion, he lies under, right? He lies under in the shade, and things will, the lioness she will do the hunting. Okay? That's not the way to do it either. Chesed. And being judgmental all the time, the ox, that's not working either. Fire. You need to learn the way of the eagle. Compassion, mercy, with setting the boundaries. Okay? Chesed, Gevurah, and Tiferet. So when it says that Pinḥas return it's not wrath, it's heat. Chamati comes from the word chom, heat, fever. Okay, let's continue. מעל בני ישראל, בקנאו את קנאתי בתוכם. But then comes another verb that is also essential. How did he do it? The word is kin'ah. Now, kin'ah in Hebrew, the way in the context over here, it is zeal, zealousy. You know, in our secular culture in the last few centuries, the word became really, doesn't have a very, very good PR. Zealous people are always pictured in a very negative frame. Why? Usually, their zealousy is jealousy. It's not zealousy. Because I just looked this morning in the Cambridge Dictionary, zealousy means enthusiasm and eagerness. That's nothing bad about it. That's great. When you do, but in Hebrew, kin'ah, it's even stronger than that. It's the ability of the person to be enthusiastic and excited and eager, but with commitment beyond logic. This is something that is totally in the area of faith. Pinḥas, when he saw what's going on and he saw everything falling apart and thousand people dying like flies, there was one thing. He wanted to do everything possible to save the people. You want to be a Kohen, a real priest, needs to be love. What he did over here, and because he cared so much, he was the only one who saw the picture, and he saw it from a different place. He saw it from a place of zeal. He knew he has to kill those two people. He knew he's going to die because of it. And he was okay with that. If the price is my death to save a whole nation, I'm willing to do that. So when he did what he did, that was zeal. He did it with total commitment, but he did it from love, not from hatred. He did it because he loved the people. He loved the nation. He wanted to save as many people as possible, even though it will cost his life and other people's life, to the two others. Sometimes healing is painful. Many times. True healing. Whoever goes through true healing has to go through a healing crisis. And healing crisis is very uncomfortable. Whoever went through it, whoever saw it happening, that's very uncomfortable. Like, I give it always an example, simple example that everybody knows. Somebody is smoking 2 packets a day. Okay? And when the day comes and he's diagnosed with whatever, or his kids are crying, Dad, we want you to be alive. Or Mom, you're going to die sooner or later. It's like, what are you doing? So they stop smoking. What happens the next day? They wake up and the air is flowing through the lungs. Yes. And they can smell the flowers and can enjoy breathing. No way. They are sick. Finally, you stop beating the body. The body starts to react and to throw out all of these poisons you put inside. The body does its best. And doing that is so painful. Most people cannot go through it. They go back to the drug because they can't stand the pain of withdrawal. Withdrawal is painful. Withdrawal from being sick. Being sick is an addiction. It's an addiction to something that kills you. And you still cooperate with the source of killing. So, but I know from experience, because I saw it happening so many times, when a person finally reaches that place, that he is he's enthusiastic about healing himself and getting rid of what makes him sick, that they go through that attack of zeal with excitement, with positivity, with eagerness, with commitment, with total trust, they heal. They do heal. You understand what I'm saying? They do heal. I saw many people going through that place. I saw people healing from terminal cancer, MS, lupus, whatever you just name it, medical science have no answer to. I saw them healing within 2 weeks, but just being in that state of mind. That's the state of mind that Pinḥas went into. Okay? There are records of millions of cases like this in history. But you know how the medical science call it? Miracle. Why? You don't have to explain miracles. It's nothing scientific. Miracles are not scientific. Suddenly you need God when you have no answers. Or maybe because when your theory is under fire and under a threat, then, now we can bring God into the picture. Till now, God was not allowed. Not into the schools, not into the medical science, not into the... God is not allowed into the hospitals. No. Only when we have no answers, then we need God. If he didn't exist, we had to invent him. If we were doctors. It doesn't work this way. The point is that when we're talking about kaneh, the shoresh, the Hebrew word for kin'ah, jealousy, is kuf nun aleph, which is a magical number, whoever knows Kabbalah. 151. 151 is also the number of mikveh. What's a mikveh? In many, many cultures around the world, many civilizations, people heal using water. Spring water especially. It's not a wonder that people call in many languages the fountain of youth, anything that can turn around aging. Why fountain? Because a fountain is something that water, that their nature is to be swallowed up by earth and sucked in. When water go against gravity, against the earth, that's a spring. And that has healing properties. And it's not just in the Torah, it's everywhere. You go to Africa, you go to India, the Ganges, right? The river Ganges, and you have it in the Himalayas, Tibetan. You go to Indians, native Indians in North America, South. Wherever you go, you find that healing properties of the spring, of the mikveh. However, there is a Jewish expression that says, halachically, by Jewish law, if you go into the water and your heart is not clean, it's you are dipping in the mikveh, still holding the impurity in your hand. So, because as long as you're still connected to the source of impurity, the pure water of the spring would not heal you. So now the question is, how do you let go of that impurity? So that's why spring water cannot heal everyone. You can have the most magical healing water in the world. And you can also scientifically, I've seen that in my eyes, check and see that they are charged with positive energy. I'm not talking just about, all kinds of spooky fringe people who are doing pictures of crystals of water, icicles, and stuff like this. I'm talking about mainstream science. Mainstream science, you cannot talk about mainstream science today without talking about MRI. What's MRI? MRI is measuring the magnetic field in water. And it shows that when the magnetic field in water is low, then that organ is sick. What comes first? And I can tell you the secret. The low energy of that magnetic field creates the disease in that organ. That's according to Kabbalah. So what you see is not a symptom. You see the problem. The problem is the water are sick. But what happens if the person has sick thoughts and he drinks the most healing water? How much would that help? Not too much. Maybe it will give you, like Tylenol, like aspirin, will give you some relief for a short time, but you're still contaminating the water in your body by having the wrong emotions. And what we're talking about it is those emotions of pure judgment. Judging people, judging yourself, judging God. As long as you're being judging and judging and judging and judging, you are sick. You're in pain. And you make your organs sick because according, when it says about Pinḥas, something very special, he killed them with a spear. However, what can we say? English is not the language. It says Romach. Romach, Reish, Memchet. Another symbol. Whoever speaks Hebrew, when you say, somebody wants to say, I am doing it with all my, everything in me. How do you say it? Bechol Ramach Evarai. With all my 248 organs. When somebody is in total zeal, so his whole body is in line, attuned with excitement, you do it with all your 248. That's a Hebrew expression. You can't say it in English. You say Bechol Ramach. Ramach is 248. Okay? He used a Romach. When he really, and again, and 248 has another meaning. 248 is numerical value Avraham. Abraham. Who was Abraham? He was the chariot for loving kindness and chesed. And the Zohar is teaching us, chesed, the energy of chesed, is the lining around each of our 248 organs. When this lining is being removed because a person is obsessed with judgment, then that organ becomes susceptible. The water in that organ start to go down in their frequency, and then this organ is susceptible to whatever. Germs, viruses, whatever, you know that. When a person lives his life with zeal, he's so excited and enthusiastic about life, about loving, about caring, about doing stuff, about the ability, the probability that he will get sick is slim to none. Slim to none. Enthusiastic people, they don't have time to get sick. Too busy. When each one of us, we know when is that we get sick. When we get hit in the face, we were working on something, we liked it, we loved it, we know it's coming, and then poof, disappointment. It's not going to work, the answer is no, you're not being taken, your contract is being cancelled. When you are just get this punch in the face or in your belly, and you get deeply insulted, and you feel judgmental about yourself, about the universe, whatever, then that's a countdown. 10, 9, till you get sick, right? First, you get, in the easy cases, you simply get a cold. Then you're sorry for yourself, you look sorry for yourself, you get, inflamed, and then you lie in bed, and you drink your teas and stuff like this, and you're just like feeling sorry for yourself, and you're just in this bath of misery. Till you get out of it. But if you don't get out of it, then scientific research is saying if that stays too long, that can lead into much worse diseases. All of them because the lining of chesed, the lining of loving kindness has been eroded, went under erosion. And then, so when we're talking about Avraham 248, this is like Avraham, and also take the same letters, Romach. It's also Rachem, to have mercy. Also Rechem, uterus. Where does a person build his 248 organs? In his mother's uterus, which is a symbol of compassion and protection, right? When you say somebody is so safe, he's safe like a baby in his mother's womb. Isn't that what people say? Right? So, what Pinḥas did, he generated that powerful energy of zeal, of positive, loving. Yeah, there was a pain. 2 people died. But judgment means that if you really help somebody, it cannot be always with, as we said, somebody is smoking. Oh, can you make it easy on me so I'm not going to suffer? You have to go to the pain. Withdrawal is painful. There's a payment. No pain, no gain. Don't you know that? Yeah, you have to, and part of the thing is to be able to go through the withdrawal. Give another example, which is much more serious than the previous one. When a person is sick, it's not because something went wrong and the medication will fix it, because something went wrong deep inside. And as we said, this is usually what creates the erosion of the protective system around the organs we have, is that judgment. So let's say something happened to you in the past, and you went through an excruciating pain, and you couldn't overcome that. And you're still carrying it with you. You know what? You're afraid to look at that pain. So you look always the other way. How do you look the other way? One way is blaming other people. Right? So then you see the person on a continuous like syndrome of blaming and blaming and blaming. That's all. It's always a cover-up for something inside, because we know you cannot give what you don't have. So if you're always projecting judgment towards other people, it means you're carrying some judgment inside you, and you're afraid to deal with it. You're afraid to look at it. And you go inside and to say, maybe you blame yourself. And that's why you blame other people. I gave the example many times. When I said, let's say there are kind of people that you can't stand. You really cannot stand them. Why? You have all the reason in the world. True, and you're right, they're terrible people. Okay, can't stand them. However, everybody agrees they're terrible. Okay? Everybody agrees that they earn it rightfully. Okay? But you have an amazing day. You have an amazing day. Spiritually, financially, whatever, what your dreams are coming true, you're doing your day amazing. Okay? You're just walking on that cloud of happiness and excitement, and you feel zeal. You're in the zone. In a total balanced way of energy, and you're in love with life. And then you meet these people. How do you look at them? With compassion, right? Look at them, wow. Those people, they're so deep into their stuff. I wish I could help them. Right? Oh, it's a pity. You don't take it personally. Why? Because it's never about them. It's always about us. Just as we said, blaming other people is a way to turn ourselves away from the real problem. I have pain. I'm in pain. But the problem is, if you do not realize that pain stays there. And that pain turns into a dis-ease. Sooner or later, the pain will start. The pain is inside you. The fact that you impose it on somebody else, it doesn't change the fact that you're painful. So yes, when you're in excitement and in the zone, and you're in total zeal and you're totally positive, that's a time to look inside and to say, why did these people upset me? Because now you have the power to look inside. You have the guts to face that pain, to face that little place that maybe you see yourself as a teacher, a Kabbalah teacher. Maybe you're a Kabbalah student. Maybe you're a healer. Maybe you're just doing great. But everybody carries inside some hurt, some pain, some feeling like once upon a time I was hurt, I was abused, somebody stepped on me, they took away my toys. I don't know, all kinds of stuff like this. We have moments like this. But we look aside because now I have no problem with that anymore, and you still have a problem like this. You're still carrying it with you. How do you know? Look at yourself, you got sick. Or people upset you. Why did it upset you? It's theirs. They're wrong. Why should you be upset about somebody else's wrongdoing? Huh? You can look at it, you can say, they're wrong, how should I help them? But being upset from somebody else's mistake, it shows that there's something that I have to look inside. It's like the Creator is sending me mirrors to reflect my own imperfection. What's my own imperfection? I get upset. That's already a problem. I am not complete. What is that upset? This upset is basically a symptom that there is a problem. You have to look in. And you have to stop and look in and look for the culprit, for your real enemy. It's not the other person. The real enemy is what told you from inside, look at him, he's mean. Who's talking? Where are you? Where are you hiding? What are you doing over there? I didn't know I have in me somebody like this. Oh, we have an enemy within and we have to go on the hunt. Because if you don't hunt him, he'll hunt you down. All of those diseases, it's all starting from within. So Pinḥas is showing us the main basic center point of healing. Healing does not happen just lying in bed saying, what should I do? I wish somebody will heal me. That's not how healing is happening. Healing is happening when a person is getting himself excited about life. And he has, on one hand, love, chesed. On the other hand, he has judgment. You cannot be excited. What's the word excited? There's fire in excited. In Hebrew, itlahavut. What's the shoresh of itlahavut? Lehava, flame. When you're excited, that's not coming from the water side. That's coming from the fire side. Right? There's steam. That's an engine. You can move stuff. You can move mountains. You can move your tikkun forward. You need that steam, and for that you need water and fire. And you need how to put them together, because if you pour the water on the fire, put off the fire, right? Then you have cold, dirty water, right? You don't go far with it. You have to put these two forces together, and Pinḥas knew how to do it on the right time. You know, there's nothing like the right person in the right time doing the right thing. He was the right person at the right time doing the right thing. He achieved greatness. But people don't achieve greatness just out of nowhere. You know, a lot of people, they want to become superheroes. He became a superhero, by the way, Pinḥas. You know, people, not so many people. Only if you study a lot of Kabbalah, you get to know Pinḥas. But most people on earth, they know him by his other name, Elijah. His name, later on, people didn't call him Pinḥas anymore. He was so godly. They call him Eliyahu Hanavi, which is the name Eliyahu, Aleph Lamed, God, Youdkevitch is the first, and Ha-Navi, Youdkevitch. So the name of God. He became so godly. You see? You didn't know that. Most people on planet, they know about Elijah the prophet. They don't know about Pinḥas. It's the same person. The Talmud says so. Everywhere it says so. We read it yesterday because it says in the Haftarah, when two spies went, no, that was in the Shlach Lecha, when Joshua wants to invade Jericho, he sent two spies this time. One is Caleb, the one who did it right in the previous time, and one is Pinḥas. Who can he trust if not Pinḥas? He sent them both. Somehow the king of Jericho finds out. He shuts all the gates of Jericho. He's looking house to house for the two. Rachav, she hides them on the roof. But then she said she hides one of them under the flax. They were making linen. There was a flax over there. She hid, and she said, Vatatzpino, and she hid him. So the Radak, the commentator, said, why him? There were two of them. It should be, and she hid them. And he says, Pinḥas was an angel already. He could become unseen whenever he wanted. He didn't need to be hidden under a pile of foliage. He was just standing there in front of them. They couldn't see him. He turned into an angel. How somebody turns into an angel? Probably he worked for it. People don't become like this just out of nowhere. Forget it. People don't, there are a lot of movies about people that, a lightning struck them. There were a few movies about that theme. And suddenly they had powers. There was an accident. There was that. There was something. You know why? That's our generation. You want it easy. You want it fast. And you want it without any effort. That's not the story with Pinḥas. People become those super people, superhumans, by working really hard on themselves. When you work hard on yourself, then you have the ability to step up when the time comes. And that's what Pinḥas did. And that's why his name is eternal. When it says, one of the signs of the coming of Messiah, that Elijah will reappear. When we reappear, he's there all the time because, he comes to a Brit Milah. If you invite him, he comes. He comes to the Seder. Every Jewish household, they put a cup for Elijah the prophet. They open the door. He comes, right? He comes on the Motzei Shabbat. He comes so many times. He appears everywhere. There's so many books. You just open every real Kabbalah book. And what does it say in the front? The great Kabbalists wrote that book with Elijah the prophet. Including the Zohar. People were not ashamed to say it. They write it. All the books of Rabbi Zakluria. He got it from Elijah. He studied with him. Okay? Now, I even know personally somebody whose great-grandmother, she was serving the Ben Ish Chai, one of the greatest Kabbalists in Baghdad. And one day she brought 2 cups of tea. And he said, why are you bringing 2 cups of tea? He said, you're sitting with a guest. He said, never tell anyone you saw him. Okay, so she saw him. Why did she see him? She was probably also in a level, because you just can't see Elijah the prophet just out of nowhere. It's just because an accident. Accidents do not happen. Okay, so now when we're talking about health and healing, that is the first thing about health and healing. Reading the whole Parashat Pinḥas is healing by itself. Just reading the text. I know a lot of people, many years ago, lately in the last few weeks, just reading, but remember, do not go into the mikveh still holding the sheretz. You have to let go of the impurity within. You have to allow yourself to go in and to look for the culprit. To say, yes, I have judgment. Yes, I have blame. Yes, I have pain. And then you have to talk to that pain. You have to communicate with that pain. And you have to appease that pain. You have to bring in the energy to remove that pain with a lot of love. That's how you can start. From now on, you can start healing on the outside. And that's why it says, even in Parashat Mishpatim in the Zohar, and it says, Verapo Yerape. Somebody hurt somebody else. He has to pay him the days he's not working because you hurt him, and he has to pay the medical treatment. So the Ibn Ezra is asking, so we allow doctors to heal people? He says, no. The Torah is giving a permission for the physician to heal the person, but the physician can heal only the outside. The inside, that's another job. Only God can heal, and in order for God to heal, you have to allow Him doing it. You have to support, you have to cooperate with Him. Only then you'll experience true healing. Otherwise, you know how it is. You take some medications, you cover up. Some other medication. Finally, you find yourself in a chronic disease that you just need a whole pile of medication to monitor this and that and that and that. Everybody knows what I'm talking about, and if you don't know, you're really blessed. Okay? So, How do you really create the healing? Is your communication with the Creator. And that's also over here. Because when you're talking about zeal, we're talking about really connecting to the life force of the Creator. That you're okay with God. You're not blaming God. You're not saying, God, why did you leave me? He never leaves us. He's always there. Only the ones that we're leaving is us, that we are leaving. And there's also another judgment in healing. Let's say somebody really goes through a real powerful healing process. And as we said, there's pain involved in the healing crisis. Why this pain? Many, many years ago, a CEO of a great American company came. He spoke about his problem that, there was a time of recession, one of those, and competition. He says, how do you do it right? So he spoke with my rabbi, and finally we spoke about, you need to get everybody really positive and excited about work. You have to do that. You have to put spirituality in work when people come to work. And then he said, but what do you do? There are always some party poopers. Those people they always complain, they always speak bad about everybody else. What do you do with them? How do you get rid of them? He said, I know the answer. And he had the right answer. The moment you take a society and you turn it into a very positive society, most people, they start to be very productive, very creative, very positive, very full of energy, because you love to be in the right place. That you believe the cause, and you trust your boss, and you trust and you know what you're doing, you're proud of doing it. But when you do it really with strength and certainty, what happens to all of these negative people? One of two. Some of them join the crowd and become positive like the others. And the ones who do not want to change, they start to hate everybody so much that finally they resign. I can't work with these terrible people. They have all the blame against it, and they leave. So, and when they leave, it's judgment. It's painful. They're jobless, right? That happens in companies, but that happens in your body, because your body is also a company, right? You have all kinds of sections. This section that gains in oxygen. There's this section that gets rid of, that's the lungs. You have this section that is getting rid of poisons. It's like your liver, your kidneys, whatever. You have sections. If you have over there 6 cells, like cancer, when you really go back into, I want to live, and every cell in your body wants to live, and everybody cooperates, and there's such a strong positive energy, you know what happens? Some cancer cells go back, join the crowd, and the others simply, they can't live with such a place. They have to leave. They have to leave. And that's how you heal. And that's why millions of people heal from cancer without the medical science describing that as a scientific phenomena, because that puts all the industry of what can you do? The person is dying, let's make it longer. Let's kill the cancerous cells. But his body is sick. Why his body developed cancer? Why did the body develop that negativity? Why this body allows it to stay? Because the body is not excited about life. The body can't anymore fight the pain it's holding inside. And as long as you did not wash away that pain, that sadness, that selfishness, that failure, the body will not be able to heal itself. That's what creates the healing, the true healing. And if you read medical science, it's there. All the facts. The question is, do you want to see it? Oh, you have a window that's the dollar sign is on it. How much money we can make from that? That's why I said there was a book by Alan Luck about the healing powers of doing good. And he shows that terminal cancer patients who went, instead of feeling sorry for themselves or being taken around the world just to, you deserve to be treated. Instead of that, they went volunteering, helping other people. By average, in that moment, he shows that scientifically, their lifespan became 3 years longer. You know, if a pharma company finds a medicine that makes a terminal cancer patient live 3 years longer, how much money can make out of it? So why nobody talks about it? Because nobody makes money out of it. Okay? So, that's about first part in reading Pinḥas. But there's another thing. The next story after that, that's chapter 25, verse 17. It said, Tzaror et Midyanim. It looks like that God is telling Moses, the Midianites, they're your enemies. You have to go and take a revenge. Doesn't sound spiritual. Why putting the blame on them? Oh yeah, they made a big mistake. Okay? Nobody was killed. We are okay. We went through it. Let's go in. Why do you have to carry the bad feeling? But you have to understand that Torah is all talking in symbols. What's the name of these people? Midian. What's the shoresh of the word Midian? Din. You want to get healthy? You have to fight your judgments. That's what God says to Moses. Fight the Midianim, fight the judgments. So there's a whole theory, there's a whole system that we can study a whole course just about it. That there's 5 judgments, the 5 kings of Midian. Take the word din 5 times, numerical value, you get 325, which is about the 325 judgments that have been created after the sin of Adam. What does that mean? That every time we have a problem is because we are not fighting properly those judgments. So we have to remove them. And how do you do that? How do you fight the judgment? Here comes a major word. Remember Pinḥas, always in the beginning of the 3 weeks. What are these 3 weeks? 3 weeks of judgments. How do you fight judgments? With more judgments? The term, Kabbalistic term, is sweetening the judgments. You're not getting rid of them. Sweetening the judgments. Why? No, removing judgment means you stay without fire. You become lethargic and you just die because you have no energy to live. You don't want to get rid of judgments. It's like you want to get rid of all the minus in the all electric devices. What do you get? You'll be sitting in the darkness. And you have to wash back in the river. Okay? Because you don't have electricity. No, judgment is not bad. Judgment has to be controlled, overpowered, and controlled by loving kindness. So, you're talking about healing? That's what healing is about. So when you feel judgmental, when you feel that inflammation, there's nothing wrong. You have a character, you have a goal. Just make it sweet. Find a way to get that excitement funneled into, but how do you do it in order to help people? You can't just hate people. You cannot be upset about people. You have to funnel all of this energy into doing good for other people. And when you do good, you get a good name. And good name is much more than good money. Because good money can go, if you have a good name, you keep your customer base, and they'll bring you more money, right? And then you have enough energy to withstand. You know how economy is. The market is up and down and up and down. That's how it looks like. You know, when you see this, that could be the graph, the market. It never goes this way. No? Success never goes this way. There are judgments. So, harness them. Use them. How? When you create chesed with excitement, you're protected. Your customers will stay with you when everybody falls apart. Because they feel that you care for them. They feel your chesed, they'll feel your enthusiasm, This is the judgment that is sweetened. Now when a person is so excited about doing good, he's sweet. What a sweet, nice person, right? But he's full of judgment. Yeah, but this judgment is sweetened. And you know what? As we said, lethargic, slow, tired people have no energy to heal. In order to heal, you need excitement and you need judgment for that. You need excitement. You need fire. But it has to be sweetened. Without, what happens if you have a power plant, but somehow, like it happened in Fukushima, remember? All the water cooling agent went away because the system broke. You have judgment without water, it caves in. That's what happened to people who have judgment. Oh, I'm always right, I have energy, I'm this, I'm smart. Yes, you are, but you're burning yourself down. Huh? You're burning yourself down. You'll cave in like the Fukushima nuclear reactor, and now the fallout. Who knows how many people will suffer from your fallout? So give us a mercy, and put some water on your fire so we'll have something positive. So that's about the fight against the Midianites. You want to go and fight, you need to fight the judgments. Now we have another story after that. The next is before they go to fight the judgments, to fight the Midianites, okay? Chapter 26, verse 2. שאו את כל ראש הדת, את ראש כל הדת בני ישראל. Translation, I looked at the translations. In English, make a census. Oh, we've been to that place. It doesn't say make a census. It says, like it says in Parashat Bamidbar, in Parashat Naso, it says raise the head of those people. Raise the head of the Israelites. You know what I'm saying? In order for somebody to be healed, he needs what? To feel empowered. You have to say, I trust you. I know you can. I love you, but you have the power. You have to raise the people. A person who has no self-esteem will not be able to heal. The doctor will say, you have 2 months to live, and he will die after 2 months because he does always what is being told. That's called kind of voodoo. And it's known statistically. Those kind of people, they always do what they're being told. The doctor will tell them they will die, you can't, this is incurable. You'll die within this and this, between 2 months, 2 years, whatever. And they just die during that time. Most of them. Who are the people that go through the miraculous resurrection? The ones who say to the doctor, who are you to tell me when I'm going to die? It's like, I have a friend, we pray together in the same synagogue, and he had a daughter being born, and his wife calls him. He says, the baby had a problem, and she calls him. She says, the doctor said the baby will die within the most 2 weeks. He runs to the hospital, goes into the office of the doctor, says, congratulations. She said, what? Congratulations. He said, for what? He said, for getting the raise. He says, what raise? You're being raised to be God. You know when people are going to die. Congratulations that you have that power to know when people are going to die. By the way, you're not God, and I'm not taking your word. This baby is married today with few kids. Okay? Just because somebody said, you're not God. Okay? So the statistics is saying, from those people who say to the doctor, who are you to tell me? There is a percentage of the people who heal because they decide to fight. Now the question is, you're not supposed to fight the doctor, he's not your enemy. You're to fight your own judgments that you harbor inside you, that they create that pain, that's enemy within. And this enemy not being treated will turn into physical cells who become your enemy. That's called immune diseases, autoimmune diseases, that's called cancer, with all the thousands and thousands of different types of cancer. It's all about this parasha. So you want somebody to heal, he needs the support. He needs to be told you can do it. We trust you, we're in it for you. That's a very important part of the healing procedure. Very few people can do it against the rest of the world. You always need a community because it takes a village. Not just to raise a healthy person, but also to get a sick person healthy. So that's another research. It was a bestseller in the 90s in the US. It's called Life and Survival by Dean Ornish, if somebody knows it. If not, you should read the book. And it's still accurate. It shows when a person has a loving, supportive community, when a person has a spiritual, loving, supportive community, their chances to get sick are so much less than others. And if they got sick, the chances to survive it and to heal are so much higher. So sometimes we stayed a long time in the synagogue because the rabbi was talking too long and everybody was singing too much, and it was a lot of being togetherness and so on, and somebody will complain. And once my rabbi said, I prefer to be 1 more hour in the synagogue than to be hours in the hospital. You think it has no connection. It does. When I built my first Kabbalah community, and I had my background as learning medicine and pharmacology and biology and stuff like this, you cannot not using your windows that you learned. And you see how people, when they start to become spiritual, when they start to meditate, when they start to look inside, when they start to reflect to each other, when they start to support each other, they get less sick. They take less medications. Very simple. Because it works. It works. Community is the strongest healing force in the world. When you're around loving people, and I've seen that, how somebody is going to die, the doctors say no, and then the whole community is coming and praying, reading the Zohar, and the person comes back to life. Against the odds. Why? Because the power of souls together has so much power of healing. And that's why the Zohar says, it's like, have you seen in the savannah, the antelopes and the zebras, all of these, they always keep together. Why? Because the lions, or all the wolves, whatever, they hunt who? The ones who keep themselves away from the herd. They become the prey. Same thing with the angel of death, says the Zohar. The moment there's a bunch of people, a community, that people really care for each other and they're united, the angel of death cannot go into it. Everybody knows that the word l'chaim, when Jews get together and they drink liquor, alcohol, wine, and they say l'chaim, which is to life. Why? So I read this Kabbalistic secret. When there's a community and when you enjoy the togetherness and enjoy the studies, not just people getting together to watch a soccer game. They get together, what can I say? There's nothing spiritual about it. They can come together to pray together, to study together, to reveal positive energy, to generate positive energy together. Okay? And then they drink. But before they drink, they say to their friends, L'chaim, I wish that all the life force that I got, you get too. So you know what happens? That Kabbalist that I read said, you give it to one person, now he has double, yours and his. He gives it to another person that gave to another person, now you have 4 times. Now you have a whole community, everybody giving to everybody else. There's so much light that the angel of death cannot go in. That's why you say to life. That's how you gain life. So that's another composition of healing. Now, let's go back to the story. And so after everybody's being counted in, everybody is brought into the community, and that's a big part of Parashat Pinḥas, mentioning everybody's name. And then there's another story. It looks like Nothing to do with the whole rest of the story. And that's in chapter 26, verse 52. And God spoke to Moses, says, "La'ele techalek haaretz benachala b'mispar shemot." Okay, these are the people that are going to get a piece of land in the promised land. Everyone according to their family, and the head of the family, the man, head of the family. But then it says, but there were 5 girls, chapter 27, verse 1. Vatikravna bnot Tzlofchad. There were these 5 girls. Their father died, had no brother. And they come to Moses and says, what about us? What about us? We're girls. There's no man in our family, so we don't get any place? So Moses doesn't say, oh, you're girls, you shut up, you sit in the corner. No, he says, oh, you must be right, I'll ask God. And God says, each one of them will have her own. If there's a girl, she inherits too. Okay? If they didn't come up, what do you mean come up? That's judgment. Then rise, saying, it looks like I'm discriminated. I don't believe that God will discriminate me. I have self-esteem. I stand up and I say, what about me? And what's the answer? Oh, you're right. You're right. You should have it too. But there's a deeper meaning to that. What's the names of these girls? Why do we care about the names? It's like not enough to say there are 5 girls. The names are Ve'ele Shmot Notav. As we said, verse 1, chapter 27. It says that these are the names of his sons. What's the first name of the 5? Machla. What's Machla? Disease. Who calls his daughter disease? What? Machla. So we understand that we have over here a secret, right? Those 5 girls, they represent the secret of the 5 final letters. And if you don't know that, later on it says in the verse 5, Vayakrev Moshe et mishpatan, and Moses is bringing their legal issue, but the word is mishpatan, and the nun is a final nun, which is the longest letter in the whole Torah. Like you have in Pinḥas. In the beginning, you have small Yud in his name, which is the smallest letter in the whole Torah. Why? Because you know how you say in English? When somebody is so egotistic, you say he's full of himself, right? You know what the Talmud says? And God says, if he's so full of himself, there's no place for me. I cannot go in because he's full of himself. What Pinḥas did, it's like a small Yud. He backed off. He let so much, because when you have the smallest Yud, you have the most amount of white on the parchment. And the white symbolizes the light of God. And the black symbolizes the vessel. So when it's the smallest, why Pinḥas had, how did he know what to do? And also the way he did it, it's impossible ever to do it right. There were 10 miracles happening in the same moment. That's what the sages say. That's why don't do it at home. Don't do it because you'll never do it right. No way. Why? Because Pinḥas backed off. Why? He was willing to die. So the story, and also he died. The Zohar says he really died, his soul left him, but then the 2 souls of Nadav and Avihu came. It's a big story in reincarnation. He came back. Now that there was a big party of souls over there in Pinḥas, not by mistake, he was named later on Eliyahu Hanavi. He was even he was a whole train station with high souls in one place. He gained it, rightfully, because he gave the space for that. Okay? So here, when we're talking about this huge nun, the 5 final letters are in Hebrew called manspach. Mem, Nun, Tzadik, Pei, Kaf. These 5 letters are the secret of immortality. because they symbolize judgment. But they are like, the medication against judgment. So these 5 daughters of Tzlofchad, by the way, what's his name? Their father, Tzlofchad. There's also Tzel Pachad, the shadow of fear. If you take the 5 final letters, you get together in numerical value, in Gematria, 280. 280 is very powerful because it's 10 times koach, power. It's also 280 is also Ein Resh Yud. Ein Resh Yud from the 72 names of God, it's for certainty. In order to gain healing, you must have certainty. You have to work on certainty. Lack of certainty shows about what? Lack of wholeness. Because that place that you don't have certainty, that's where you have fear. That's where you didn't heal yet. So if you have lack of certainty, you go to that place, look for that place, because that's why you're still sick. While Pinḥas, it says, I give him my covenant, shalom. And as we said before, shalom is not peace. Peace, in English, is a Hebrew word. Lefayes means, so two people don't fight anymore with each other. Not fighting, it doesn't mean it's shalom. Shalom comes from the Hebrew word, they feel like a whole. Shalem. That's peace. When we are in total wholeness, in total certainty, in total zeal and excitement about life, all the cells in our body will be a whole. Shalom. That's healing. Shalom is healing. To have peace in a society means that every individual feels part, feels being counted in. That's when you have productivity. That's when you have people cooperating with each other instead of disturbing each other. That's what shalom is. Pinḥas reached that level. That's why he got the covenant of shalom, which has another story in it, why the vav in shalom is cut. Because without the vav, you have the word shalem, a whole, and also you have a yud, made from the vav. That's 10 miracles that happened to him, right? So what's a little vav under a white cut in the Torah? I don't know. I heard many explanations. I'm not complete. I don't feel whole with them. That's why I don't share it with you. If you have one, you can write, you can add it over there. Now, the daughters of Tzlofchad, Manspach, it's not just this. There's one prayer. It's very powerful. Hashem Melech, Hashem Malach, Hashem Yimloch, L'olam Va'ed. God is the king. God was the king. And he will be king forever after. Melech is the king. Malach was the king. Yimloch will be the king. Numerical value, 280. Manspach. Which means when you have total space, that everything is okay. It's called by the sages, Teshuvah me'ahava. You return out of love, not out of fear. A lot of people become religious because they're afraid of God's punishment. That doesn't do a lot. It does, it's okay, at least you're not doing the same stuff you did before, and you have a better chance to heal. But the real healing is we do it out of love. When you do it out of love, the sages say, Rav Ashlag talks a lot about it, then zedonot naasim zchuyot. Even horrible stuff you did in the past, you do it out of love. Why did that happen to me? God was there also. If I didn't fall into that, I wouldn't reach the place wherever I am right now. You always find that God was with you, is with you, will be always with you. That's called certainty. And that's numerical value, 280. Okay? That's also, remember we spoke about the healing of that? Para aduma, the red heifer. How do you say para? Para. Pei, reishei. Par is 280. Manspach, hey, is 5, the 5 letters of the final letters. That's the secret of immortality the children of Israel had on Mount Sinai. I think we had a lot for today. Now you can have the background of all the healing that is aggregated inside the reading of the Zohar of Pinḥas and the Torah reading, and you have also the holidays. All the holidays. That's why Parashat Pinḥas is a parasha that is being read like no other parasha. Why? You read it every Rosh Chodesh, every holiday. You read from Pinḥas. So a synagogue that has few Torahs, there's only one Torah. There's always one Torah that is always on Pinḥas. Why? You always need to read from there. So why rolling? You have other books that you roll, but this one you leave on Pinḥas. So, what's the connection to that? Because what do you do in a holiday? Holiday is a way to return to and to connect back to the creation, to connect back to power. And that's what healing is about. Going back to basics, going back to the source, re-energizing. Without that, you don't have any. And also, how many, the real big holidays? 3, right? Right, left, center. So again, we're coming back to the same rules. So have a lot of healing the next 3 weeks. Be very careful to put always loving kindness and to turn all judgment into sweet. That's the tikkun of the coming 3 weeks. Okay? Take a lot of mikveh. Go a lot into the water, not to the ocean, not to the sea, because that's dangerous in the 3 weeks. Okay? But do a lot of immersion into love, into water, and be nice to each other. Thank you so much. Shavua Tov. You've just listened to another lecture from Live Kabbalah. This is Shaul Youdkevitch. Thousands of people use Live Kabbalah materials every month in order to improve their lives using the Zohar, the Ari, and other treasures of the great Kabbalists. The Zohar, Parashat Terumah, teaches that when a person wants to transform to a higher level and redeem himself from the old one, that cannot be done for free. Only levels of impurity can be given for free. Most of our materials are open for everyone. However, whoever is on a spiritual journey knows that giving is receiving. Please donate to Live Kabbalah so you can get the most out of the treasures we bring you. Donations can be made according to the instructions on the donation page on Live Kabbalah site. Thank you again.